Hare Krishna Baba.
Oh, there you go. Yes. Thank you. Don't see very clearly the deities, but see the door. For some reason, can't see the deities.
Yeah, because it's too much light and
Yeah,
it's
probably.
Zoom call, so not really clear. I can send pictures if you want.
No, it's okay. Which altar is this?
Huh?
Which altar is this?
God Nitai.
Gaunitai, yeah. No, can't see. Try to go Radha Krishna, see what happens.
Okay. Can you see?
No, that's just too much light, I guess.
Yeah, it's too much light.
Yeah.
Mataji, can you turn your camera? Because it's coming sideways.
Oh, okay. Here, like this? Sorry.
Perfect. Yeah, I can see.
That's a little bit better, yeah.
Okay.
That's perfect.
Yeah, that's much better. Jai,
Okay.
Shri Radha Chicho Gopinath ki jai.
Jai.
Okay, that's great. Lord Jagannath, Baldev, Subhadra.
Yes.
I cannot see anything.
Huh? So, Krishna, you have to speak something so you can come on the screen.
Oh, so this is
There you go.
Jagannath.
Yes, much better. Thank you.
Jai.
Jai Baldev, Mata ki jai. So just try going back to Gaunitai just in case.
Sure, Baba.
Thank you so much.
No problem.
That's very nice, very kind.
Oh my God, it's so nice to see the temple again.
I know, yeah, for you especially, it's been a long time.
Yeah, so sweet. Thank you so much.
God Nitai.
Yeah, yes, we can see.
Prabhuji, I cannot see anything.
Really?
I can send pictures later if you
You
want.
can't see the altar?
No.
That's so funny. Anybody else cannot see?
I can see.
Yeah.
I can see. Yeah.
I can see now.
Oh, you can? Good, good, good.
Yeah.
Good.
Where is this from?
This is Toronto Temple. Radha Chicho Gopinath.
Where?
Toronto Temple, Toronto.
Oh, Toronto.
It's called
Okay.
Toronto. Okay. That's great. Thank you so much, Krishna. Yes.
No problem.
Prabhuji, you were not open. Toronto temple was not open on Janmashtami?
No, it was not.
Oh.
Yeah, it was basically everything online.
Yeah, my sister lives in Toronto, so she told me it wasn't open.
Yeah, unfortunate. Okay, let's get started. Anyone has any questions from last week, from chapter 10, or any takeaways, what you remember, what we discussed?
I have 2 questions.
Yes, go ahead.
Since everybody missed my questions. So in the last class, you did mention something along these lines, because I saw the video today, that those, like you said something along the lines, and correct me if I'm wrong, Shivji and Brahmaji, you said that if someone thinks that they are supreme, that like supreme in the sense that they are better than Krishna in that sense, then that's a very big sin, right?
Correct. It's an offense.
Yeah. It's an offense. Yeah, sorry. So then for the people, like we definitely know these people who like put their faith in one demigod or the other. Like I can't even take names, Ganeshji, Hanumanji or Shivji. So then because they are not aware of the supremacy of Krishna in that sense, because they're not aware, are they still doing that offense?
Yeah, so the offense is being done unknowingly, but because they're unknowing and innocent, perhaps the punishment is not that severe as it would be for doing it knowingly. But still, it's like touching fire, knowing or no unknowing. It still burns you. So some effect is definitely there.
Okay. And the second thing was in all this, Sanjay was telling this to Dhritarashtra. Was he able to see Krishna's like actual form?
Yes, yes, that's why he described it. We'll talk about it today.
Okay.
Today we'll talk about it. Describes the whole form. Yes. He had been given the divine eyes as well.
Okay. Thank you.
Sure. So who remembers anything from last chapter that stuck with you? Nobody? Okay, what about, we talked about the 4 verses, call it Chatushloki. And we said that Krishna is the origin of everyone and everything. So even all other gods come from Krishna, right? And we said the devotees are constantly thinking about Krishna and they enjoy discussing about Krishna. And we said that Krishna helps people who are constantly thinking about him, chanting about him, and gives them the intelligence by which they come to him. And that Arjuna accepts Krishna to be the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Right? Then Krishna starts describing his opulence in different ways. And finally, he says that whatever you see that's magnificent and opulent in the nature is all but a tiny spark of me. Right? And that's where we ended the chapter. Okay, so we're ready for today? Or is there anything that we want to say? Anyone? All right. Oh, by the way, you can hear me fine?
Yes.
Okay, all right, thank you. So question I have is, if somebody asked you, how many forms does Krishna take? What would you say? And can you give some examples of the forms that Krishna takes?
Shyam Sundar.
Yeah, which is the 200 form, yes.
200 form.
Yeah.
Chaturbhuja form.
Very good, yeah, like Narayana Vishnu form. Yeah.
Damodar.
Well, that's still 200, right? That's just a Leela. We're talking about different forms. It looks different.
Narsim Bhagwan?
Yes, half man, half lion. Absolutely.
Ram.
Well, then again, there's 200 form, right? Just another form. But okay, that's fine. Have you heard about fish incarnation?
And Matsya.
Matsya, yes. What about tortoise?
Kurma.
Kurma, yes. So these are different forms. So there's literally millions of different forms. Mostly we don't even know, but the point is he can take any form he wants. And one of his forms also called as unmanifest or impersonal form, where there's no form, it's just light. It's called impersonal form as opposed to personal form where you can see him. So today we're going to talk about yet another form that he shows, and it's called the universal form, or in Sanskrit, Virat Roop or Vishwaroop. So this chapter actually starts with Arjuna saying that after hearing Krishna's instructions in chapter 10, his illusion is over. He is now convinced that Krishna is the cause of all causes and is present in everyone's heart as the, what is it called in the heart? The presence in heart is called? Anybody?
Nirgun.
No.
Super soul.
Super soul, exactly. Paramatma or super soul. This means that Arjuna no longer thinks of Krishna as a mere human being or as just a friend of his. Remember, they were very close friends. But now Arjuna is thinking that although he may accept Krishna as the source of everything, but others may not. I mean, who knows? There's a lot of people doubting excuse me, Krishna's supremacy. So in order to establish Krishna's supremacy or divinity for everyone, now he's requesting Krishna to show his universal form. So why would he want to do that? Any ideas? Why is Arjuna doing that? Show him this universal form. Because he wants to make sure that all these people in the future who will claim to be God, and we know that there's so many people who claim they are God, could be put to a test that if you're God, show me your universal form. Right? If they can, okay, fine, then you are. If you can't, then get out. Stop cheating people. Similarly, I've had experiences where people have claimed to be God, and I've said, okay, fine, don't bother picking up a mountain. Just take this big table here, pick it up with your left hand and rest it on your little finger, just for 7 minutes, not 7 days, just 7 minutes. And then they start laughing and they go away because they simply can't do that. So this is what Arjuna is trying to do. He says, I want to establish a standard for everyone in the future who claims to be God to show some similar opulence, similar power. That way, he says, he can thwart the cheaters. And a lot of times what happens is some people have some special power, or some people just become popular for whatever reason, some skill set they have, or they know some magic, and people start saying that, oh yeah, he's God, and they start saying, yeah, I'm God. So Arjuna is saying, this way you can catch every one of it. So that's the main reason why he's asking Krishna to show his universal form. So Krishna does. He shows his universal form. But before we get into the details of what that form looked like, let's understand some very basic things. And one is that although this universal form is transcendental because it's Krishna's form, everybody knows what transcendental means, right? Yes, no? What does the word transcendental mean?
Above the level of like
Material things?
material things. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. Something that's beyond the material world, something that's
Yeah.
beyond the material things. That's transcendental. Correct. So because Krishna's form is transcendental form, but it's manifested only in the material world. And therefore, it is also subject to influence of time. What does that mean? It means it appears and actually disappears also. It's not eternal. As the material nature is manifest and unmanifest, similarly, the universal form of Krishna is manifest and unmanifest. There's no material world, no universal form. In this material world, this universal form. As opposed to Krishna, whose form is there always, even when there's no material world, Krishna is still there. Krishna's form is still there. Krishna's form is all eternally situated in the spiritual world. But there is no universal form in the spiritual world. Generally speaking, the pure devotees are not interested in seeing this universal form. Why? Because, as we'll describe it later, it's totally devoid of any loving features or loving interactions. The pure devotees are not interested in Krishna's, opulences, his greatness. They're interested in Krishna's sweetness. And that's why if you look at all the pastimes in Vrindavan, they're all very sweet. Yeah, sure. Every once in a while it kills demons. But with the devotees, they're very sweet interactions. Where the devotees are so immersed in Krishna's love and so busy enjoying the loving relationship and the loving interactions with Krishna that they don't even realize that Krishna is Supreme Personality of Godhead. Like Yashoda Maya never believed my son is God. Krishna's friends, the gopis, they never believed he's God. Otherwise, how would they challenge Krishna to a wrestling match and actually defeat him? So devotees like that are not interested in Krishna's opulences. Therefore, they're not interested in universal form. But because Arjun asked to see it, for the reason we just said, that to convince other people and to thwart the effects or efforts of the cheaters, Arjun asked to see at Krishna showed. And Arjun wanted to confirm that this form, even though temporarily exists, because remember, he's starting a disciplic succession. Right? Everybody who follows in the steps of Arjun is his disciple. And like any other form of Krishna, because they're all transcendental, they cannot be seen by ordinary people with their material eyes. So similarly, universal form also cannot be seen by ordinary people. Krishna must give the power to see it, as Tukil was asking earlier. Krishna gives Arjun the spiritual eyes to be able to see the universal form. In that form, you see the present, you see the past, you see the future. You see a whole bunch of other things we'll talk about in a second. So I have a question for you. What other form of Krishna is temporary like the universal form in the sense that it does not exist in the spiritual world? A very popular, very common form of Krishna.
Prabhuji, can you repeat the question, please?
Yes, which other form of Krishna? Remember, we were talking about different forms of Krishna. Universal form is one of them. Which other form of Krishna does not exist in the spiritual world? Only in the material world. Remember, otherwise, all of Krishna's forms are eternal. They all exist in the spiritual world. He comes to the material world only for a little while. It goes back, the spiritual world.
And all avatarams?
Avatars or expansions or features or whatever word you want to use.
Krishna himself?
No, he's there, Golokundam, always.
Oh. So then I don't understand the question.
Prabhuji, I am confused between the forms, avatar. So what's the difference?
Okay, so
Hare Krishna, Patashri. I think so. Krishna
bolo.
is in everyone. Hare Krishna.
He's in everyone? As
yes,
what? As what?
Is inside.
Yeah, but in what feature or what form is Krishna in everybody?
Paramatma.
Paramatma, right? Right. So it's the Paramatma feature that only exists in the material world. There's no Paramatma in the spiritual world. In Vaikuntha, Golokunda, there's no Paramatma. Paramatma feature exists only in the material world. So the universal
Paramatma
form.
means super soul.
Super soul, yes, super soul. Super soul does not exist in the spiritual world. Okay?
Why not?
Because there's no need. In the spiritual world, you don't get a material body. Your soul is the body. Therefore, there's no need for Paramatma. Here, the soul has a body. So you need a Paramatma to guide you, to witness your activities, to sanction you. None of that is needed in the spiritual world. Okay? Looks like I confused everybody. Sorry about that.
Yes, actually, yes.
Okay. So maybe if you can ask a question, I can answer that to clear the confusion.
I have a different question though.
Okay, then first finish this one so that
Yeah.
it's clear, and then we'll move to your other question. And what's confusing? There's no
So
need for
the material world,
uh-huh.
we are only looking, seeing the body, right?
Correct.
But in the spiritual world, actually, it's only soul who goes
But
up.
soul has a body. The soul itself is a body.
Soul itself is a body.
Right. So even now, soul itself is a body. You can't see it because of the covering of the material body. You cannot see the soul. Therefore, you cannot see what kind of body does it have. But in the spiritual world, there's no material body, so you can see what body does it have. So remember, we have inside ourselves, our material body, we have the body called soul. It's a body. The soul is a body. It's called a spiritual body that is hidden under the material body. In the spiritual world, there's no need for material body, so you see the spiritual body. It's simple as that. Like, I don't think it's very complicated.
Then it should be there in the spiritual world. The super soul should exist
No, but
in the
there's no
spiritual
need
world.
for super soul. So what is super soul? Super soul is Lord Vishnu expanding himself into all the atoms and then expanding as super soul in the heart of all living entities. As super soul, what does it do? It sanctions and it witnesses. And because the soul, due to its karmas, is limited to what it can do in the material world. But in the spiritual world, there is no karma. Spirit soul can do whatever it wants, but all it wants to do is serve Krishna. There's no need for Paramatma feature. So Vishnu does not expand into Paramatma feature. There's no need for it. Okay? I'm very sorry, I got everybody confused. Let's move on.
I think the clarity would like come with first, I think, knowing about Krishna's forms, because even for me, the super soul is actually a part of absolute truth, isn't it?
Yes, but who's Krishna? Krishna is absolute truth.
Yeah, right? but then how does that not exist in spiritual world?
Exactly.
So, yeah, so I think maybe the first thing that I need clarity is what are Krishna's various forms. Let's start with that.
I mean, so we gave it so many examples. It takes different forms. You can take basically any animal form, any bird form, any human form, any form he wants. So I think you may be confusing his form with his features. They're not the same thing. So for example, we said Brahman effulgence is a form. It's also a feature. Similarly, super soul is a form, but it's also a feature. But others are only forms. Right? Although you could say they are Bhagwan features. So I mean, in a sense, they're feature also. But that's not the issue. The issue is that the need for Paramatma feature is only in the material world, because the soul is covered under a material body and being governed by its karmas. So whatever it wants to do has to be permitted by the Paramatma feature to make sure it's according to its karma. So for example, if I want to fly without the help of any mechanical device, just by myself, I can't. But on the other hand, a bird can fly no problem, because it has been given a body that can fly by its karmas. In the spiritual world, there is no body, material body, I mean. So there's no need for permission. Similarly, super soul acts as a witness so that the karmas are accumulated. But there is no karma in the spiritual world, so there's no need to be a witness. It's all in the open, whatever the soul wants to do. Plus, everything the soul wants to do in the spiritual world is to serve Krishna anyway, which does not result in any karmas. So no matter how you look at it, there's no need for the Paramatma feature. It's not there. It's manifested only in the material world. Now, maybe you're getting confused when I'm saying it's not there. I mean, it's not manifested. Maybe that's the confusion. Yeah, it's the intrinsic feature. So yes, it's there, but it's not manifested. If that clears the confusion better, I don't know. Okay, let's not get hung up on it. It's not that critical to understand the philosophy. Okay. Now, so when Krishna shows his universal form, at first, Arjuna is sitting on the chariot and Krishna shows his universal form. What does Arjuna see? He sees millions of mouths, millions of eyes, and legs and hands in that one body. And he also sees millions of planets. This form is more effulgent than millions of suns. Arjuna also sees Lord Brahma, Lord Shiva, all living entities, all material objects, and the whole past, present, and future in this form of Krishna. Let me see if there's a picture of universal form in my Bhagavad Gita. I don't think so, but let me just see. No, I don't see it. But there is a picture available where you see this millions of bodies going into the mouth of Krishna and coming out from the other side. So Arjuna actually sees Bhishma going into the mouth, Duryodhana going into the mouth, Karna going into the mouth of Krishna.
Prabhuji, is it this one?
Let me see.
Can you see it?
Yeah, it is. Yes, that's right. That's what it is.
Hold on. Yeah, it's this one.
Yeah, yeah. So it's not in my book, so whatever it is, but hopefully other people can see it. That's the universal forms. You can see all these mouths and bodies going in and coming out and all that. Okay, thank you. Yes, so Arjun sees all that, and he actually gets very scared. Suddenly, he stops being an intimate friend of Krishna. He's so shocked, he's in so much amazement to see this that he stands up and starts to offer prayers to the universal form. He's completely awed by the greatness of this form. He actually offers obeisances to Krishna. And he says, my dear Lord, my dear Krishna, please tell me, who are you? What is your mission? Like he never asked that kind of question before. It's more like, yo, Krishna, but no longer. So then Krishna says, and is quoting, time I am the great destroyer of the worlds and have come to destroy all people. And then Krishna says, with the exception of the Pandavas, all soldiers on both sides will be killed. So by saying that, Krishna is actually reminding Arjuna that just know that you are not the killer in this battleground, killer of these people. Because if you remember in chapter 1, Arjuna was saying, I don't want to fight. I don't want to kill these people. I don't want to kill my relatives. I don't want to kill my friends. And now Krishna is saying, well, you're not the killer anyway. I will do that. And therefore, Krishna says, Arjun, get up. Get up now and fight. And take the credit for winning. He adds, my dear Arjun, conquer your enemies. Enjoy the kingdom. Because by my arrangement, everyone has already been killed. And you simply become an instrument in this fight. In other words, Arjun, fight for the sake of fighting. I have already predetermined the results. I've already killed everyone. So then the question comes, and I'm going to ask you that. Does it encourage you to understand that you're not the doer, and therefore you're not entitled to take credit for any achievements you have? But whatever is happening according to Krishna's plan. What do you think?
Yes, I do agree, Prabhuji.
Okay.
It is happening only because of him.
Right.
But I feel only in good deeds. But sometimes, like in angry, we shout and also I don't know about that. Is it happening because of him or because of me? So, but I do believe that every day.
But that's different. We're talking about the actions. Anger is different. Yeah, it's an emotion.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else?
Yeah, I believe it as well. Whatever happens, it's all Krishna's mercy.
Okay.
Like we take credit, but mostly if it happens on his will.
Okay. Anybody else wants to comment?
I don't know, Prabhuji. Sometimes I get confused. A person, for example, one person, he's kept getting unfortunate. He kept getting the bad things and things and things. And I was like, really? Krishna has written that thing in his destiny?
Well,
it really makes me think, okay, what is happening? Not a single good thing is happening with that person. XYZ, whoever, right?
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
So like, for example, a person who is born, their mother dies or their mother leaves, or, parents, like that child is constantly in a bad situation until their adulthood. Nothing good is happening. Nothing, a single thing good is happened to that person. Is that the destiny of that? And it is because of Krishna and he's doing that. So maybe because of the karma. That's the only answer I get.
Not maybe, it is.
इतने बुरे कर्मा किसके हो सकते हैं?
Oh, I know a lot of people with that bad karma.
And the bad thing, I feel like pity for the person that in spite of teaching or telling them to be fearful to God, be nice to God, or have a faith in God, still they don't understand. Still they don't want to be.
It's a rare person who accepts Krishna as God and tries to do service to God. The rare person. Krishna says about thousands of people, hardly one gets there. Yeah. So it's a rare privilege to be a devotee.
Try to have a faith. Okay, come on, close your eyes and try to have a faith once and for all. But let's see the consequence. But they're not ready.
No, they're not ready.
They want their consequence first. Then they want to believe in.
I know. So they'll give you all sorts of excuses, but they will not serve Krishna. They will not believe Krishna. What can you do?
I don't know. I surrendered.
Yeah, exactly. That's the best thing. That's the best thing.
I think this was mentioned in 9th or 10th chapter that Krishna's like he himself said, I don't reveal myself to such people.
Yeah, exactly. That's 7th chapter. Yeah.
Yeah.
Text 25. Yeah, that's exactly right. Okay, all right.
Prabhuji, I definitely believe that Krishna, everything which happens in our
Frozen.
life is happening because of Krishna.
Yes, good.
And especially, yes, you should accept his mercy during the good times. But your real test is when you are going through bad times, you actually trust him and you know that he is there for you. He will make it fine. Just keep on believing in him.
Exactly.
Everything will be fine. Like,
that's right.
your real test is during the bad times.
Correct.
No matter how long those bad times are.
Correct. Absolutely right. Very good. Very good. And the point is that you can't do anything about this anyway. Only when Krishna is ready to do something, something will happen.
Exactly.
So it makes it easier on you to accept it.
Yeah.
I have a quick question based on this. Is like when people act in free will, is that a part of Krishna's plan as well?
Say again, sorry?
The free will with which people act,
right?
Like, is that a part of Krishna's plan as well?
No, that's the only part Krishna says, I'll let you decide. Free will says serve Krishna or not, because if I interfere with that, then it's forced. Because you will not.
So basically, like, Krishna has made plans for us based off, like, for example, at every stage in life we get choices, and then we out of our free will take those choices. So he's already planned those, like what the future course of actions is gonna be like, but it's up to our free will to, pick which.
No.
Then?
No. So do not confuse free will with material activities. Material activities and the aspects of your life are predetermined in this birth. That's your destiny. But free will says, I'll serve Krishna or not. And that is entirely your choice. If you choose to do something material, you're back under control of karmas. If you choose to do something spiritual, serving Krishna, then it's not under karmas. And if you do it purely, then actually all your karmas get burnt, so you don't have to suffer your karmas. And are you ready to go back home, back to Godhead? So that free will to serve or not is always yours. Krishna doesn't interfere in that. Otherwise, it will be forced. He does not want to do that.
But why this is not predestined? This is pre-written by Krishna.
Predestined is only material things, not spiritual things. So spiritual things we have to do all on our own, and then Krishna will help us. Material things, Krishna has made the law. According to your karmas, you'll pay or enjoy whatever. He does not directly interfere. In devotional service, he directly interferes. And that's the difference.
I have a question, Prabhuji.
Haji?
So a person who was, let's say, a born Vaishnavas, like, not Vaishnava, like vegetarian and very spiritual family and everything, right?
Mm-hmm.
And after certain years, let's say after 20s, they become the opposite. Is it what Krishna planned?
No. Again,
then?
Every moment of your life, every moment, deciding, do I want to serve Krishna or do I want to serve the material world? Do I want to satisfy Krishna's senses or do I want to satisfy my senses? Every moment of your life, you make that decision. So at any point in time, 20, 30, 40, 50 years later, you could say, enough, I don't want to do devotional service anymore. That's still your decision. But a good devotee always says, no, I know it's not so easy, but I'll continue to serve Krishna. I want to.
At least try.
Try? Yeah, exactly. Krishna says, you try, I'll help you.
Mm-hmm.
So it's always our decision to serve Krishna or not. Even when you're in the spiritual world, Every moment you're deciding, it's just that you always decide in the spiritual world to serve Krishna because you enjoy it so much. In the material world, you have distractions. So sometimes you don't decide that. But it's still your decision. In the material sense, you have no decision. It's distant. But in spiritual sense, you always have the decision.
Prabhuji, I just have two questions.
Say again?
I just had two questions, Prabhuji.
Yes, yes.
What's the difference between Vishwaroop and Virat Roop?
Same thing. Two words for the same thing.
And,
Universal form, Vishwaroop and Virat Roop. Same thing.
Okay. And what was the form Karna saw when he was dying? What form did he see? Did he see Vishwaroop when he was dying?
Karna or Vishnu?
Karna.
There's no description that I've read. Okay. It talks about Karna seeing a form.
Okay.
So I'm ignorant. I don't know. Where did you read that?
I read somewhere was when he was dying and the sun god and the moon god they come and ask. They have a competition or something like that, and when he proves is that he's a very superior in Dan. Krishna shows him the Vishwaroop or Virat Roop. I'm not sure how authentic that.
Yes, I've never read that though.
Yeah. Okay.
So I'm sorry, I don't know.
Okay. No problem.
Okay.
Prabhuji, I have a question.
Okay.
Like suppose one devotee, that devotee does lots of japa and lots of seva, but on the other hand, that devotee lies and corrupted with the money and whatever the sin that person is doing. So it is because of Krishna, or like what's the reason behind it?
Yeah. So it's like it's two rails for a train. One is called material rail, other is spiritual rail. And they're going in parallel. But they never meet. Right? The two rails never meet. So on the one side, he's doing all these nonsense activities for which he will pay. He's accumulating bad karma. And on the devotional side, he's doing good service. So depending upon his, how purely he's doing it, they get the results in spiritual way. But they go together. They don't counteract. They don't cancel. They don't add to each other. They're totally different planes. Okay.
Prabhuji, in continuation of that, then it becomes an offense, right? Whoever does the corruption or involved in those kind of activities, it becomes an offense and it will start nullifying the spiritual things that has been done, right?
No, it doesn't nullify what you've done, but it is a big offense and you pay in some other ways. You don't make progress on the spiritual path. So you can chant all your life, but if that's your attitude, you probably will not make much progress on the spiritual side. But there's no punishment on the spiritual side. Nobody takes it away. What happens is that you start losing interest in doing that. And then you stop, eventually you stop. So that's the punishment. But what you have is never taken away.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, I have another question. We will meet aspiring devotees or the devotees, let's say in this Janma. Those plans, because we will, what happens is sometimes, while I was thinking, sometimes we will meet more of the devotees and somehow in one way or the other, we will start meeting in future also, based on through different links or through different people. So all those are like a plan from Krishna. Okay, you can go still towards the spiritual things, or how it is, or is it again? Is it depends on like again, as you said, each instance of each time there will be a decision making between. But how we will start meeting only those kind of people sometimes?
Yeah, so that's a very different question, but I'll quickly answer it. If you have faith in Krishna, then Krishna will make arrangement for you to meet devotees in whose association you start doing devotional service. And then as you do devotional service in their association, your material attachments will start to go down. And as they go down, then your attachment to Krishna will start to increase. And then it just goes on together, right? That's how it happens.
Okay.
Okay?
Thank you.
All right, so let's just move on. So as Krishna was saying to Arjun, take the credit. I have already killed everybody here. You are simply an instrument. It looks like you're the one who killed all these people. But you didn't. It's simply out of Krishna's mercy and kindness that Arjuna is getting the credit. So actually, that is Krishna's nature. He's always trying to give credit to his devotees for what he actually does, if not directly, then indirectly by giving them the ability to do that particular task. So can you think of any examples of where Krishna allowed a devotee to do something by giving him a special power, and the devotee got all the credit and the glory? Any example comes to your mind? It may be difficult, but I'm going to give you 30 seconds to see if there's something that comes to your mind, and I'll tell you the answer. Okay, let's talk about Lord Shiva. When there was churning of the ocean, everybody knows the story of churning of the ocean, Samudra Manthan. What's the first thing that came out?
Poison.
Poison. So much poison that's described, it could inundate the entire universe. So there was a big problem. What to do with this poison? So all the demigods and the demons, they went to Lord Vishnu and said, hey, help. Otherwise this poison is going to inundate the whole universe. We'll all die. So Lord Vishnu said, go to Lord Shiva, ask for help. So they went to Lord Shiva, offered their prayers. And Lord Shiva said, no problem. And he drank all of that poison. That was enough to inundate the entire universe. I'm not talking about one city, one town, one country. Entire universe. There's so much. And it's called halahal vish, which is extremely poisonous. You don't even get poison that's that poisonous anymore. And he drank it all. And he kept it on his throat. The throat turned blue, and that's why he's known as blue throat person or Nilkant. So now somebody can say, was Lord Vishnu scared to do it himself, or he gave the responsibility to Shiva? No. Lord Shiva is a pure devotee of Lord Vishnu. So he wanted Lord Shiva to take the credit. So he gave the ability to do this, had him do it, so Lord Shiva can get the credit. Let me give you one other example, which is more pertinent to what we're talking about, because it's about Mahabharata. There was a character by the name of Barbaric. Anybody heard that name? Okay, who heard the name Bhima? Yes?
I probably, yes.
Okay, good. Bhima had a son whose name was Ghatotkach. Anybody heard that name?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So Bhima had married this woman called Hidimba, and their son was Ghatotkach. Ghatotkach also got married to a woman called Mauravi, and he had a son called Barbaric. Barbaric was very strong right from the childhood, and he got a benediction from Lord Shiva, who gave him 3 arrows. And he said, nobody can defeat you. First arrow, when you shoot it, it will mark all the enemy soldiers or enemy people whom you want killed. And the third arrow will go and find each one of them and kill them. There could be a billion of them, doesn't matter. Second arrow is to mark the people you want to save. So the third arrow will leave them and just kill everybody else. So with these 3 arrows, he became unconquerable. And then the Battle of Kurukshetra started. Mahabharata. He said to his mother, I want to participate. She said, yes, of course you should. Your granddad is there. Your dad is there. You should go. But whose side will you fight? And he said, I want to fight on the side of the weaker side, the weaker army. She said, okay. He left. Well, Krishna knows everything. So he met this man and asked him, so whose side are you going to fight on? He said, I'll fight for the Pandava side because their army is weaker. Krishna said, oh, very good. But when you join the Pandava side, which side will be weaker? He said, of course, Kauravas, because I'm on the side of the Pandavas. Krishna said, well, then by your promise to your mother, you have to join Kaurava's side. He said, yeah, that's right. I'll join the Kaurava side. Krishna said, when you do that, which side will be weaker? Well, Pandava's side. Well, then you'll have to join the Pandava side. So you'll be going back and forth every instant. You'll go crazy. Now Bhagavad said, wait a minute. Yeah, you have a point. What to do? So Krishna basically said, therefore you can't really fight on any side. You'll have to be neutral. And Bhagavad said, well, who are you? Because Krishna was in the guise of a Brahmin. So Krishna showed himself as Krishna. And he said, you know what I want you to do, because otherwise you'll cause a lot of problems, is I want you to give up your life. Chop your head off for me. And Bhagavad said, my dear Lord, what could be better? I will sacrifice myself for you if I can just see you as I give up my life. But I do have one wish. Krishna said, what? He said, I want to witness the entire battle of Kurukshetra, Mahabharata. He said, okay, I'll take your head and put it on a mountain. So he cut up his head. Krishna took it, put it on top of a mountain from where he witnessed the whole battle. Well, finally the battle was over. And one day Pandavas were discussing who did what. They were all talking about, I killed so many and I did this and I did that. And Krishna said, you know, maybe you should get a impartial third-party opinion. I said, yeah, who's that? So Krishna told about the grandson of Bhima. So they all went to the head and said, so who killed how many soldiers? And Barbaric said, none of you killed any. And they were all shocked. What are you talking about? We killed millions. And Barbaric said, you didn't kill any, not one, zero. So they said, well, then who did? Barbaric said, all I saw was Krishna's Sudarshan Chakra floating in the air and chopping the heads off everybody. So there's the Sudarshan disc that killed all the soldiers. You guys did not kill anybody. And then Pandavas said, oh, okay, we get it. Basically, this is Krishna's way of telling us that we were simply an instrument. We kept thinking we were killing. But we were not killing anybody. It's Krishna doing that. So that's a very prime example of Krishna being the doer. We are simply an instrument. And that applies to anything and everything, whether it's our job, our position, or whatever accomplishments we think. So anytime you go and brag to somebody, we did this, we did that, I accomplished this, I accomplished that, we're just fooling ourselves. We did not accomplish anything. That's all Krishna's plan, Krishna's mercy. It's simply an instrument, and we should never forget that. Is that clear? So very
So
important.
Prabhuji,
Yes, Mata.
so Prabhuji,
Yes, Mata.
so he was given that eye to see the Sudarshan Chakra by Krishna, right? Because that
Correct.
only power is being given by the Krishna.
Correct. Correct.
Okay.
Okay. So very important point. Never forget we are simply an instrument of Krishna. He is the real doer. Nothing we think we accomplished, simply given to us by Krishna out of his mercy. And if you do that, you'll never become arrogant. You'll never become puffed up. You'll remain humble despite all your so-called accomplishments. You may become a big CEO, president, or whatever. You'll never become puffed up because you always know whatever you have has been given to you by Krishna out of his mercy. So very, very important point to remember always. Okay?
Just one question, maybe.
Yeah,
It's
of
not
course.
important.
Yeah, go ahead.
Regarding the barbaric, why Krishna asked for the life instead of telling him not to come to the battlefield? Maybe is it because if he comes, he may changes his mind even after telling.
No, because he had already said that I'm going to fight. He's given his word. So then he'll have to ask him to go back on his word to his mother.
Okay.
Right? So he said, that's fine, but you do it for me.
Okay.
And Barbara was saying, what an honor. Yes, I'll do it very gladly. Right? It's like Bhishma. He had the power to decide when he wants to die. And when he saw Lord Krishna in front of him, he said, this is the time to die. Otherwise, if I postpone it now, next time I decide to die, you may not be there. So I'm dying now. Right? What an opportunity. Okay?
Okay.
All right. So now I'm going to ask you another question that I don't think you will know the answer. You may know some things, some part of the answer, but not the whole answer. Can you name the only 12 people who survived the Battle of Mahabharata? 640 million people died. 12 people survived that entire battle. Do you know the 12 names or any names? Yeah, go ahead, please go ahead.
Like all Pandava family?
Yes, that's 5, correct.
5.
Yes.
Their mother, Kunti Devi?
Well, she was not battling. I'm talking about the warriors.
Oh yeah, she wasn't.
Yeah. Well, Krishna himself, the 6.
Krishna himself, yeah, I was about to say.
Yeah, okay.
Oh,
Yes,
will we count
6.
him too?
I'm sorry?
Will we count Krishna as well?
Yes, we are counting Krishna. In the 12, we're counting Krishna.
Ashwatthama.
Who? Very good, Ashwatthama. Yes, absolutely. Yes, very good. Who said that? Good day, okay, great. Now who else?
Nakul?
No, well, that's at the Pandavas, right? 5 Pandavas?
Yeah.
Kritvarma.
Kritvarma, yes.
Ashwatthama.
Ashwatthama, Kritvarma.
That's what that done.
Yeah, you said. Kripacharya.
Kripacharya, very good, yes. I know, I don't think so. He was killed when he was sleeping by Ashwatthama.
Yes.
So there's Satyaki there, Yuyutsu, which was the stepbrother of Duryodhan, and that joined Pandava side. And
Prabhuji, what's the name of son of
Karna?
Karna.
Vrishketu.
Yeah, Vrishketu.
Yeah, so that's 12. 5 Pandavas, Krishna, that's 6.
6.
Ashwatthama 7, Kritvarma 8, Satyaki 9, Yujutsu 10, Kripacharya 11, and Vrishketu, the son of Karna, 12. Okay, so only 12 people survived. 640 million people died.
Wow.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So after hearing Krishna, Arjun folded his hands and offered sincere prayers, recognizing him to be the God of gods, the original supreme personality of Godhead, the oldest, the knower of everything, the supreme controller, and the only person to be known or worth knowing. And then Arjuna begged forgiveness. Begged forgiveness for having previously treated Krishna with familiarity and friendship. Arjuna said, I have in the past rashly addressed you as, O Krishna, O Yadava, O my friend, without realizing who you are, without knowing your glories. And he says, please forgive me. Please forgive whatever I may have done in madness or in love. Now, I'm very sorry I've dishonored you many times. How? When we were relaxing on a bed, I would lie down on the same bed beside you. I'll put my arms around you as we're lying down together. Or we'll eat together from the same plate. I'll tease you and you'll tease me back. Sometimes alone, sometimes in front of other friends. I'm so sorry I did so many offenses. And he offers even more prayers. And he says, you are the most worshipable Supreme Lord. So what happened? What happened here? A pure devotee like Arjuna was serving Krishna in the rasa of friendship, right? Sakharas. He suddenly become aware of Krishna's godness, the all-knowing, infallible supremacy, and all those kind of things. He suddenly realized, oh, this is God, it's not just another person. So he immediately switches from an informal friend who was unafraid to address Krishna by his first name and share the same plate of food. Probably eat something and give the other half to Krishna. Suddenly he has become a very fearful and a formal devotee. All he wants to do now is apologize and recognize Krishna to be what he is, Supreme Personality of Godhead. What a transformation. And what caused the transformation? Realization that Krishna is God. That was the only difference. Nothing else changed. Krishna actually did not change himself. Krishna's nature did not change. Krishna's feelings for Arjuna did not change. What changed was Arjuna realized this is God. So my question to you is, there was Arjuna as close friend, informal. There was Arjuna as a devotee standing with hands folded, offering prayers. Which of the two relationships do you think Krishna enjoys more?
Friend.
Friend, absolutely right. Absolutely right. Because, frankly, the reason Krishna appears in the material world is that he wants to enjoy his informal relationships with his devotees. Krishna says, I'm tired of being superior to everybody. I'm tired of being worshipped by everybody. I like it a lot more when my devotee acts superior to me. I love it when Mother Yashoda picks up her stick, threatens to beat me up, or ties me with the rope. I love it when my friends challenge me to a wrestling match and they defeat me. Can you imagine somebody defeating God? And God being defeated, but God is being defeated. God is loving them. His friends will tease him like anything. For example, when he picked up the Govardhan Hill, imagine the feat of picking up an entire hill. And Govardhan Hill 5,000 years ago was a whole lot bigger than it is today. It's big enough now. And his friends are saying, don't think you are doing it. It's not your power. We are the Brahmins. It's the power of our austerities, the power of our tapa and our yajna that's giving you the power to lift it. Don't think you're doing it. Other friend said, you know what? We put our stick up to hold the hill up. Otherwise, you don't have the strength. And Krishna's laughing and really enjoying these insults. That's what he enjoys. When the gopis tell him to dance, he loves it. They're ordering him to dance. They're saying, No butter for you if you don't dance. And he loves it. So yeah, when Arjun is being informal, intimate friend and snatching something from the plate that Krishna is eating from, when he jumps on the bed where Krishna is lying, Krishna loves that. He doesn't love this Arjun sitting there or standing there with hands folded, offering prayers. No fun in that. So do you think we can ever be like that? Anybody? Be that informal? Yes, no?
No, no, Prabhuji.
Why not? Why not? Yes. Why not? Yes.
Maybe sometimes we have a problem.
Not sometimes. No, not sometimes. We have to become so pure. We have to become so pure. I don't know how long that would take. But one day we would be
maybe
at a point where we also forget that he's God. And we have a relationship. He's my friend, he's my lover, he's my boss, or whatever. But one day, I mean, that's why we're doing the services we're doing today. We're doing sadhana bhakti today, so we can one day get to that place where we love him so much that we forget he's God. And then Krishna really enjoys the relationship with us also. But it's a long ways to go, hard work to do, but we can get there. Okay?
Okay.
All right. So, Arjun doesn't like this new relationship either. So now very anxiously, he's requesting Krishna to reveal his 400 Narayan form. Where is the 400 Narayan form present? In Vaikuntha Lokas. So Arjun says, I want to see that. So Krishna reveals his 400 form. And then he can see that Arjun is not happy. So he reveals his 200 form. So that he can again relish the intimate friendship with Arjun. And Arjun can again relish the intimacy of their friendly interaction that they used to have. Lord Krishna then tells him something very interesting. He says, Arjun, if you thought it is difficult to see my universal form, you should know that my 200 form is still more confidential. And it is visible only to my devotees, not to the Vedic scholars, not to the yogis, Gyan yogis and Karma yogis who perform many austerities, not to the charity givers, and not by worship, the Karmakandi worship. It's only to my pure devotees. And then Krishna concludes this chapter by explaining what Srila Prabhupada calls the essence of Gita. And that's verse number 55, the last verse of this chapter. And in that, and I'm going to actually read from the book so I can quote to you directly. Give me a second. I'm reading verse 55 of chapter 11, translation. He says, my dear Arjun, he who engages in my pure devotional service, free from the contamination of fruitive activities and mental speculation, he who works for me, who makes me the supreme goal of his life, and who is friendly to every living being, he certainly comes to me. So what he's really saying is that my pure devotee who serves me without desire for any material profit or any mental speculation, who does everything only for me and for my pleasure, and who makes me the supreme goal of life, who's friendly to all living entities, comes to me for sure. Krishna is guaranteeing it. That devotee comes to me. So basically, Krishna is giving a guaranteed formula to go to his place where he lives, Golok Vrindavan, and be intimately connected with him eternally. And that's the purpose of Bhagavad Gita, to show how one can understand his spiritual nature and his eternal relationship with Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and how to go back home to Godhead. That's what this verse is about. So very important. In the explanation, the purport, Prabhupada uses a very nice term. It's called Krishna Karma. Very interesting word. Krishna Karma. What is Krishna Karma? Prabhupada says it's the work done without desire for any material profit or mental speculation, only for Krishna's pleasure. And he gives a very nice example. He gives an example of a rich businessman. A businessman who uses all his profits in the service of Krishna. For example, he might build a temple from his profits and maintain the temple and the devotees of the temple by his profits. If he does that, then he's doing his business for Krishna, and that his business then becomes Krishna Karma. Because this person is not attached to his profits. He's not using it for his own satisfaction. He's using it for Krishna's satisfaction. Prabhupada says, well, if you don't have enough money to make a temple, just become engaged in cleaning the temple. And that is also Krishna Karma. He says, well, if you can't even do that, if you have a little bit of land and you sow some tulsi leaves, tulsi plant, or some flowers, you offer the tulsi leaves or the flowers to Krishna. That is also Krishna Karma. So the point he's making is that we can all do Krishna Karma. We just have to be cognizant that we can and be willing to do that. A pure devotee, Krishna says, doesn't want to go to heavenly planets, doesn't even go to the planet of Brahma. He only wants to go to where Krishna lives, Goloka Vrindavan. Simply, why? Simply so he can serve Krishna. Not so he can get mukti and liberation and all those kind of things. No, he wants to serve Krishna eternally, all the time, in as intimate a way as possible. So Krishna is saying, if you're a pure devotee, you can do that. A pure devotee, Krishna says, also does not associate with non-devotees. Like karmis. Everybody knows what karmi is? Somebody was telling what is a karmi? Yeah, go ahead. Twinkle.
The one, like I remember you said, cow POS.
Yes, exactly. So all the interest in is this self-gratification. Have a great life. Have a great time. Just enjoy, enjoy, enjoy. So that's a karmi. They can never. The pure devotees leave the association of people like that. Similarly, jnanis who are speculating, oh, Krishna could be like this, or it's just effulgence, things like that. Or atheists who say God doesn't exist, or they insult the God. So pure devotees give up the association of all these people. And a pure devotee always thinks of Krishna, but in a favorable way, as opposed to not so favorable way. So what's the difference? We discussed the example of Kansa the other day. Kansa was 24/7 thinking about Krishna. But nobody says he's a devotee. On the other hand, if we think of Krishna 24/7, we'll be called pure devotees. So what's the difference? The difference is the mood. What's Kansa thinking all the time as he's thinking about Krishna? Anyone? What's Kansa thinking about when he thinks of Krishna? Sorry?
You said Kans, right?
Kans, yes.
Yeah, like he was threatened by him.
No, but what's he thinking?
He was thinking to kill.
Yes, exactly. Exactly.
All the time. So
all the time. How do I kill Krishna? Where do I
Yes.
find him? How do I kill him? Devotees not like that. Devotees are thinking, how can I find Krishna? Where can I find Krishna? How can I serve him? How can I tell other people about Krishna? On and on. Everything favorable. And that's the difference. So pure devotees are always favorable to Krishna. And they are always friendly to everybody. They have no enemy. It's like Prabhupada always talked about, Jesus Christ, even as he was being crucified, he had no ill will towards the people who were doing that. He said, Father, please forgive them, for they know not what they are doing. Srila Prabhupada, how much difficulty he had, but he never cursed anybody, including the person who was trying to kill him in New York. So Krishna becomes very merciful to such devotees and allows them entry into his abode. Okay, I'm going to stop. Open it for questions, comments, realizations, objections. Anyone?
Prabhuji, can you give examples for mental speculation?
Yes. So these are the people who are otherwise known as jnanis, and they're constantly guessing what the absolute truth may be like. They don't believe it's a person, but they don't know what it is. So they're always saying, it's not this, it's not this, it's not this. They keep thinking it might be this. No, it's not. It might be this. No, it's not. That's what mental speculation is.
Thank you.
Sure. Any other questions, comments? Why? It's very quiet class today. So all the concepts are clear, then maybe I can ask you questions. Yes, no?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Asta. So let me ask you, what is your attitude towards your accomplishments? How do you feel about them? Who do you give the credit? And be honest. I'm looking for an honest answer.
I can go. I guess to be honest, when I was a kid, I would get all of these. I was a nerd, so I'd get all these random awards for all these like math and science and all this stuff. And I'd be like, Mom, look, I got this award. And she would be so quick to be like, no, you didn't do anything. Krishna did everything. And so I've been conditioned since childhood not ever take credit for anything.
Wow, good for you.
Yeah, so that's because of my mom.
Oh, now even I'm feeling very proud of you. That's great.
Thanks.
Yeah, that's wonderful. Okay. Anybody else wants to answer just an honest answer from anybody else? People are being shy in answering the question.
Before I started hearing to this class, sometimes I always give credit that God has given me everything. But sometimes when I argue with my husband, definitely I say, it's me, I have done that. You didn't do anything. So at that time, whatever I have, I definitely give credit to God.
Sure.
Even the knowledge, everything. So yeah, whenever I act like promptly, I say, God gave me the idea. It's not me. So
Very
I do
nice.
say that.
Very nice. Well, I'll tell you, it's quite natural because of our conditioning to think I did it. I have done this. It's quite natural. But it's just that the reason we read Bhagavad Gita with these discussions, so we can understand that it's not so, that there's another power that's helping us, and give the credit where it's due, so we do not become ungrateful to Krishna. As long as we're grateful to Krishna, we'll not become puffed up. We'll remain humble. We retain our humility. It's very important to make progress. Lord Chaitanya said, if you're not humble, you cannot make progress on the path of devotional service. Humility is very important. But as people say, it's hard to be humble when you're so good, you're so great. Well, yeah, if you think it's because of your ability, then it's hard. But if you understand that the abilities come from Krishna, Krishna said very clearly in 7th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, I am the ability in man. I am the strength in the strong. The fact we're speaking, the fact we can hear, the fact we can see, is all a mercy of Krishna. When we realize that, it's easier to be grateful. And I'm sure we know people who have their handicaps. Somebody can't see, somebody can't hear, somebody's missing a hand or a leg or whatever. Somebody cannot speak properly, somebody has this syndrome or that syndrome. Some people develop Parkinson's disease where they lose control of the muscles. All that, whatever we have can be taken away at any time. Whatever we have, we didn't have to have, we're not entitled to it. So when we look at life that way, then we become more grateful. And then it's easy to be humble. Otherwise, very difficult.
I have a question.
Yes, go ahead.
Many times it happens, like for me also, like it can be in the office work or something. We will expect the credits for whatever we do. So that happens. That has happened, and it might be happening till we achieve something. So the question is, okay, that is one part. Sometimes we have to appreciate other people also, right? So if someone is doing good things in their work, is appreciation is also kind of a wrong, because ultimately Krishna is doing that.
Well, no, so it depends upon how you appreciate. So for example, if you appreciate the person saying he has received mercy of Krishna, who has given him all the skills and abilities and therefore the accomplishments, you're appreciating Krishna as you're appreciating the person, because you're seeing Krishna's hand in his accomplishments. But being simply on a material level, if you appreciate a person for genuinely, not flattering, genuinely appreciate a person for his abilities, accomplishments, that's fine. That's common courtesy. That shows your own generous nature, that you're not jealous. You're able to appreciate somebody's accomplishments. And that's a good quality. But not from flattery point of view. Don't wrongly praise a person. You know, it's like somebody can barely sing and you tell them that they're better than Muhammad Rafi and Lata Mangeshkar combined. That's wrong. So no false flattery. Genuine appreciation is good.
Okay.
Okay. All right, we have a couple more minutes if you want to use them. Any questions or comments? Okay, all right. Thank you so much. Everybody, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare
Thank
Krishna,
you so
Mataji.
much.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare
Thank
Krishna.
you.
Very
Hare
nice
Krishna.
class.
Thank you very much.
so much, Prabhuji.
Thank
Thank
Good
you
to have
so
you back,
much.
Twinkle. Hare Krishna.
Yeah, I am glad I'm back.
Hare Krishna,
Thank
Prabhuji.
you. Hare Krishna.
Prabhuji.